I'll do it myself.
Hey, it's me. And today I'm going to be talking about HMS Warspite, a ship that, in spite of its motto, get it, most definitely does not spite war, but seemingly is spiteful because it can no longer take part in it. HMS Warspite was one of 5 Queen Elizabeth-class battleships built for the Royal Navy just before World War I, and at a total displacement of 32,000 tons, a crew of over 1,000, a top speed of 25 knots, and a cost of over £2.5 million, which when adjusted for inflation is a fuck lot, they were some big girls. Warspite itself was ordered in 1912 and finally launched in 1913. However, due to the fact that the British Parliament failed to foresee that the majority of the war would take place on land and not in the ocean, it only took part in one battle, that being the Battle of Jutland in 1916, in which it was hit 14 times by German dreadnoughts, starting the trend of Warspite taking significant damage but never enough to actually be sunk, and it managed to withdraw whilst protecting HMS Warrior, which sadly still sunk after Warspite's withdrawal. Warspite also attempted to ram a German U-boat but was unsuccessful. After the battle, both sides had lost a bunch of ships and decided not to use the massive multi-million pound warships for war anymore because it was really expensive when one blew up. After this, Warspite's early career became one of routine patrols and training, aside from some action in the action of the 19th of August, in which German naval elements attempted to engage the British Grand Fleet, which numbered in the hundreds of ships. The German fleet numbered around 70 ships, including the torpedo boats that they brought. 3 ships were sunk. In total. That's including both sides, by the way. After World War I, however, Warspite went through modernisation in the 30s, and, on the onset of World War II, took part in the Norwegian campaign, which we all know how that ended. During its time in the Cold North, Warspite became the first ship that launched the first plane to sink a German U-boat of the war, in the First Battle of Narvik. After sinking the U-boat, the Swordfish became a spotting plane for Warspite, which then went on to sink 1 and damage 2 German destroyers, leading to a British victory in the battle, mostly thanks to the Swordfish providing spotting for Warspite. After taking part in the Funny campaign, Warspite was transferred to the Mediterranean, where it was to partake in actions against the Italian Navy, and actually arrived on the 10th of June before Italy even officially joined the war. Whilst on a mission to draw out elements of the Italian Navy, Warspite scored the longest range gunnery hit from a moving ship to a moving target in history, hitting Italian battleship Gailo Caesar, I think, at a range of 24 kilometers. Scharnhorst, I think, also apparently hit a ship at a similar distance, but it's unknown which ship got the furthest hit because it was around the same distance. Later that same year, Warspite went off to intercept an Italian fleet that was in turn trying to intercept Allied convoys in the Mediterranean. In the battle that followed, Warspite aided in the destruction of 2 Italian heavy cruisers, the Fiume and Zara, as well as 2 destroyers. Did I say? I think I said that right. Finally, she was damaged by German aircraft in the Battle of Crete in 1941, which ripped a hole in the side of the ship and damaged her starboard 4-inch and 6-inch batteries. So, the ship was sent for repairs in Puget Sound Shipyard in America, which, if you know where that is, meant it was also present for the attack on Pearl Harbor. And I bet the crew of Warspite was insufferable towards the Americans after that. Now, supposedly, it was one of the few ships at the battle to actually provide anti-aircraft fire during the attack, but I can't find a source for this other than one guy's comment on a World of Warships video, so take that with a grain of salt. Later that month, it departed for the Indian Ocean, couldn't find any Japanese ships, pretended to attack the Andaman Islands, and then left for the Mediterranean again, where it aided Allied troops landing in Sicily and Salerno. On her return to Malta whilst travelling at high speeds, Admiral Cunningham coined the nickname which Warspite would become known for, by saying, and I quote, "Operation well carried out. There is operation well carried out. There is no question that when the old lady lifts her skirt, she can run. However, after providing more support via shore bombardments, overnight, Warspite was damaged yet again by German glide bombs, one of which tore through the ship's funnel and blew a 20-foot hole in the hull. It was so badly damaged that it needed to be towed to Malta for temporary repairs, then moved to Gibraltar. However, only 9 men were killed and 14 wounded, which when your ship ends up with a massive hole in it, is pretty good. Although each death was still, of course, a tragedy. Warspite would then return to Britain in March of 1944 for more repairs. Captain Packer, who was the captain of Warspite at the time, was mentioned in dispatches, as it was his second time coming into port on a massively damaged Warspite. This ship just will not fucking die. However, much of Warspite was beyond repair at this point. One of the boiler rooms and the X-turret just straight up couldn't be repaired, and would remain in action until her decommissioning. Eventually, though, she left Britain to join the bombardment force on D-Day in the Eastern Task Force of the Normandy Invasion Fleet. Did I mention that a concrete caisson was used to patch up the hole left by the German bomb, by the way? Like, this thing is on peg legs and is still trying to blast Germans apart. Anyway, at 1500 hours on the 6th of June 1944, Warspite was the first ship to open fire, bombarding German positions at 26,000 yards offshore to support the landings of the British 3rd Division on Sword Beach, and continued bombardment until June 7th. After firing all 300 of her shells, she had to go re-arm at Plymouth back in Britain. She then returned to Normandy on June 9th and supported the Americans on Utah Beach and a few other places. When she returned again in Portsmouth, this time her guns were so worn out from all the shelling, she had to go to Rostov via the Strait. Well, not Rostov. Rosyth via the Straits of Dover, the first battleship to do so since the beginning of the war, where she immediately hit a mine, causing damage that needed to be repaired, along with her guns needing to be replaced, and ended up in repairs since early August. Nice one. She continued to take part in numerous shore bombardments until the bombardment of Weltschreen Island, where she would fire her guns for the last time. She wasn't sunk, she just left for England. During her career, Warspite endured shell fire, bombing, ramming, mines, and even a guided missile. I'm counting that glide bomb. Earning the nickname, the Grand Old Lady. A grand old lady that could break your baby bitch of a back without even breaking a sweat. Even during her decommissioning, after attempts to make her a museum ship had failed, the battleship broke loose of her tugs and ran aground on Prussia Cove. Though, defiant to the end, Warspite was recovered and taken to St. Michael's Mount, where it was eventually dismantled. A memorial stone still rests at Prussia Cove today, honouring the valiant crew and the unwavering ship they served upon, defiant to the end, enduring the worst both world wars could throw at it, all through sheer spite. Hello, thank you for watching the video. This is my first sort of attempt at a historical video. If you couldn't guess from the meme at the beginning, it's very heavily inspired by Potential History, who I just now have realised has started uploading again, so that meme doesn't even make any sense, but fuck you, I'm leaving it in. Bruh! But yeah, if I got anything wrong, just leave it in the comments. I didn't do it on purpose, obviously. My sources for this were basically just Wikipedia and another site, that name I forgot, but I'll link them both in the description, because you should do that if you're doing historical stuff. So for all the sniffing as well, it's literally summer, and I'm still somehow sniffing, probably because of allergies, but it is what it is. But again, thank you for watching, leave a like, subscribe, and, I don't know, Twitch sub to, I don't know, Bow, I guess. She's kind of funny. No, she's not funny. Women aren't funny. Fillion, no. Yeah, well, she's not a woman. She's a 14-year-old Filipino boy, isn't she? I'm not putting that part in.